I grew up in Maine, and for most of my life, the woods have felt like a second home. I know the smell of pine and wet earth better than the scent of any city street. I've walked trails so many times I could do them blindfolded, but sometimes even the woods you trust most can turn against you. It was a late summer evening, the kind where the sun lingers just above the trees and the whole forest glows gold. I'd been kayaking through a winding creek that twisted deeper than I'd ever gone before. I wasn't looking for anything new, just some peace, some time away from people, a chance to drift under the sky. But the water carried me, silent and slow, and I didn't realize how far I'd gone until the sound of the road disappeared. The creek opened up into a small lake I'd never seen on any map. A hidden lake. The surface was dark, glassy, so still that it reflected the trees perfectly. No ripples, no frogs, no fish breaking the surface. It was unnerving, but the quiet was intoxicating too. I let my kayak drift, dipping my hand into the cold water, watching it swirl around my fingers. That's when I noticed him. Across the lake, near the shore, was a man. At first I thought he was just another fisherman like me, until I saw what he was doing. He was struggling with something heavy, dragging it down the bank. My first thought was a deer. Maybe he'd hunted illegally and didn't want to be seen. But as I paddled a little closer, I realized it wasn't an animal. It was a barrel, a rusted metal drum, dented and stained, like the kind you see abandoned behind factories. The man heaved it toward the water, looking around constantly, jerky, paranoid. My paddle froze mid-air. Something about him, it wasn't right. His movements were frantic, like he was desperate to get rid of whatever was inside. Then he shoved the barrel into the water. I expected it to sink right away, but it didn't. It bobbed, half submerged, rocking on the surface like it didn't know if it wanted to go down or float back up. The man grabbed a stick and pushed it further and further until finally, slowly, it slid beneath the black water. I should have left. I should have turned my kayak around and paddled like hell, but I didn't. I sat there, watching, my breath shallow, as the man stood at the shore, staring at the ripples fading back into calm. He stood so still, like he was listening. Then, as if sensing me, his head snapped up. Our eyes met. Even across the lake, I felt it, the weight of his stare. His clothes were dirty, his face shadowed, but I could make out the shape of a wide, twisted smile. My whole body went cold. He knew I'd seen. I panicked, dipping my paddle into the water, trying to turn the kayak as quietly as I could. Every splash sounded deafening in that silence. When I glanced back, he wasn't at the shore anymore. He was gone. The trees rustled, but there was no wind. My kayak drifted, the hidden lake suddenly feeling smaller, more like a trap. I paddled harder, my arms aching, but the faster I moved, the darker the woods seemed to grow around me. Halfway across the water, something bumped the underside of my kayak. I froze. It wasn't a log. I know that feeling. This was heavy, deliberate. The kayak rocked. I gripped the sides until my knuckles turned white. Then came the sound, a hollow thud, from beneath, slow, like someone tapping on the bottom of my boat from under the water. I looked down. The water was too dark to see through, just my pale reflection staring back at me, wide-eyed, terrified. Another thud, louder this time. I paddled, fast and frantic. My muscles burned. My heartbeat was so loud, it drowned out everything else. Still, The tapping followed. Thud, 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 until finally I shot into the narrow creek, branches clawing at my arms as I escaped back into the familiar channels. I didn't look back, not once. By the time I reached the main river, the sun had dipped below the trees, and the world was steeped in shadow. I dragged my kayak onto the bank and sat there, shaking, trying to catch my breath. But the silence, it wasn't over. From the direction of the hidden lake came a faint splash, then another, closer this time. I left the kayak, left it right there in the mud, and ran, crashing through the trees until I found the road. By the time I made it home, it was full night, and I locked every door, every window, swearing I'd never go back. For weeks, I dreamed about that barrel sinking into the water, about the smile on that man's face, about the tapping beneath my boat. And then, one night, as I sat awake at 2 a.m., unable to sleep, I heard it, thud, a hollow knock from under the floorboards of my house.